So if you'd like to copy some elements from an existing class to put them into another class without copying the whole class, you'll do the same process as backup and restoring a whole course. So start by going up to being in the class that you're going to copy from the elements and go to the blue wheel. Click on back up just like you would before, and this time what you're going to do when you're on this very first screen is you're going to be unchecking some of these things. So the very first one, include enrolled users, uncheck that, and with it some of the other items go that's associated with it. Let's see, include calendar events, I would take that off. And depending on what you have in which elements you're copying from, there might be some things you need to leave on here. But for my example, I'm not using blocks, and everything that you typically see in a course, it's called an activity or a resource. If you remember, you add an activity or a resource. So I definitely want to leave that on. I'm going to leave include files on, and I'm not sure about filters, so I'm going to just leave that there. Then I'm going to scroll down, and you'll see here, if you were copying a quiz, then you need to include the question bank. Now I won't be doing that, so I'm not going to include it. Also, I'm not going to be using groups or grouping, which might be part of a course sometime. I didn't use competencies. Mine are primarily 2 resource pages I've created, and I want to bring them over without having to recreate and put all the time into them. I don't believe I had any custom fields, and this include a content bank. Again, I don't think so. These are just 2 web pages, but you need to think those things through, which ones you need to uncheck. Now, why not leave them all checked as they are? Because it's going to take a lot longer to back this up, because it's going to be backing up so many more things, and in some cases a lot more data and information. But if you're able to just whittle it down to only those things that you're going to be using and need, then it'll go by much more quickly. So I checked only those couple. Even though this does say jump to final step, I usually advise people not to use that, because I've had some trouble with getting error messages at the end. So I just take my time and go through the next couple screens. And here again, it's showing me all the things that it's going to copy, which are resources and activities. Now, I don't want all of those things in that I'm bringing across, because if they're checked in purple here, they're coming across. Now, I don't want all those things. If you want to get rid of a section or a week, like here's August 23rd, no, I'm not going to bring that across. And it automatically then unchecks all of the other things underneath it for the week. But say you get to a week and you do want something from that week. Let me get back down here to get all of these undone. And just delete those. Whoops, there we go. Okay, November, we're getting to the end now. And November 15th, here we go. Almost to the end. Okay, now none of that's going to copy over or back up, which is what we want not to happen. Not to copy them, back them up. I'm going to go back up here to the first section in the general section, because that's actually where the things are that I want to copy across. This is the general area at the top of the Moodle screen in each of your classes before the week start. Now, if I click on General, which is what that section is called, watch what happens. It unclicks everything in that area. Now, The thing is, I need a couple of these. The only way you can get those to be turned on is by clicking on General. And then what you end up having to do is to delete the, click on each of these one by one and get rid of, what is on there. Now let's see here. Okay, got to pay attention to which things I'm unclicking. Let's see, I think it is lesson plan. Oh, not the lessons, the learning centers. Now, notice there's two things here that say learning centers. What you need to do there is pay attention to the little icon, and that'll tell you what it is. And if you hover over it, so it's wanting to know, are you wanting to include the learning centers label, the heading? You can take that off and just include this one, and this one is, if you don't recognize the little page, it's that web page, and that's what contains all the information that I want. So I'm going to keep the label and the web page. And then here we've got, again, reading resource materials. This is a label. I'm including that because, again, these were a couple, it's a web page full of resources that took me quite a while to gather up. And so I'm going to leave those all checked with those two headings. And then the rest of these I know I do not want to bring across. So I'm going to bring across and only those elements. But the first step in being able to bring them is to take the first step of backing them up, and backing them up only those elements that I want. So you'll see here now I've got all of that stuff that potentially could have been copied or backed up, and instead I've narrowed it down just to being these. Then again, the process will go by much more quickly for the computer because it doesn't have all this data to back up. So now I'm going to click next. On this screen, it's just kind of giving you a confirmation that this is what's going to happen. So if you see these same headings again, and the X's meaning it's not going to copy them, but you'll see here that Learning Centers is here, the label again with the green check mark, and the same with the Learning Centers with the web page, and then my two reading resource items in the heading for that. And then all the rest is X, so you don't have to do anything on that page. It's just kind of a confirmation. And then when you get down here, you see the perform backup. And so now you can see that just popped right through because it only was backing up a couple items. So now that was a backup. So again, it says the backup file was successfully created. So I click continue, and it's going to show me where it has been backed up. And so it isn't going to change the name of it because we didn't do anything to it, but here it is. If you just read it, there's kind of a few extra things that it starts out with the label, but if you look at it, it's still going to give you the exact name of that course, 413 Methods of Reading, and that's the one I just did. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to restore that class into an existing course. Now you can restore into something brand new, or you can restore into an existing class, and we're going to be doing the existing class. You can see here it's just giving me a confirmation again of here are the items that are included in the backup that I just clicked on that I'm going to use to restore. And then here I have three choices. Restore as a new course. And if you're going to do that, you would need to click on the correct department. And if you don't see, these are alphabetical order. So say you are in the math and science department, all you need to do is start typing math, click on search, and it will bring up the math and science, and then you would save it. And typically what you're going to be doing, if you are doing a new course, it would be restored into the regular one, not the master. Those are the master copies of all the classes. If you see any of those show up with the master at the end of the name. Here it says restore into this course. Okay, well, we didn't move to that course. We could have stopped and gone and moved to that course, but it works just as easy using this third option, which is restore into an existing course. And we can either have it merge the backup course into the existing one, or we can delete the contents of that course once we pick it out, and it will delete all the elements and only copy over those 5 things that I selected. Now, I don't want to wipe out my whole reading course. I'm trying to bring across some things that are going to make it easier for me, and I don't have to recreate them. So I'm going to merge them. I'm not going to delete. And so you want that checked, which it will be. And then you can go in here, and if you recently worked on it, it may be near the top here. I did do some tinkering around here, and I just made a copy. But you could go find your reading course or whatever you're working on just by typing in the first part of the name and then clicking search, and it will go get it. And now again, you have to scroll back down to the bottom, but now it's come back and it has given me options of the ED/ECH 413 class that I put in. It brings them all up, and then I have here say it's this one, then I just click on it, and again you can verify you're merging those 5 new elements into this existing course, and now I say continue. And this is just once again confirming what's going to be coming in. You don't have to change anything. Here is the name of the course that it is going into, and you might see this overwrite. None of those are in regular, they're grayed out, so you don't need to worry. It's not overwriting them. It would be if they were in regular font, then it actually would be overwriting. Okay, and you can see here are the elements that we're bringing across or restoring into the existing course. So I'm not going to undo them, but say that you got to this point and you looked at it and thought, oh, you know what, I really don't need this one resource that's websites for projects and activities. I could uncheck it and leave all the rest on there. But probably you just selected the ones you wanted, so you just leave them as they are. You click next. You don't need to do anything again to this page, and then at the bottom you'll see perform restore. And then it says it was successful, so I'm going to continue. And so it brings up the class that I just copied these things to. And so let's see, where did it copy them into? So these are my, the couple things I just copied over. So here's the heading, the label, Learning Centers. Here is my web page, Learning Centers, that has, so see now, instead of having to put in all of these URLs and adding in the videos that I also wanted to have on this page, I had all that done automatically just like that, instead of having to spend all the time rounding up all those URLs and creating the web page and looking everything up. And here's the second heading that I had included, reading resource materials, and here is a folder that has some items in it. And then here is the other web page that I also brought across because I didn't want to have to put together all of these links again when they were already created for me from my previous class. So I'll go back there again, and in this case you'll see that this is not in editing mode. You would just turn editing on, and then that way, if once this is brought in, typically when you bring something new in, it's going to be at the bottom of that section. So this is the general section. So these were brought in at the bottom. So if you're thinking, oh, I'd rather have them somewhere else, you know, then you already know how to move things around. So you could just grab the little crosshatch and move the heading up and move then the file that you brought across. But usually when you copy something over, or just like when you create a new activity or resource, it always pops in at the bottom of the section. So that's where these new elements that you backed up and then restored into this existing course, that's where they're going to appear for you. And so that's basically it. You just need to kind of pay attention when you're making your choices and just be real familiar with what it is you want to bring across.